You all crowned me your king. I never wanted it.
Alright folks, how you doing? So I've got a special little treat for you that you'll only find on this particular channel, and that is the primal astrology reading of William Wallace. This is the Western and Eastern Zodiacs combined to form the Hermit Crab, because Wallace was born in the year of the horse according to the Chinese Zodiac and born under Cancer in the Western Zodiac. So let's have a look at his personality. In the animal kingdom, a hermit crab constantly moves from shell to shell as it grows larger. Similarly, those born under the primal zodiac sign of hermit crab regularly move between homes, jobs, and relationships. In their minds, hermit crabs believe they will finally settle down and feel comfortable once they find the perfect fit. Yet the more they search, the more unsettled they feel. Now you see this a lot with Wallace. The constant moving around all the time. He's always trying to resign the guardianship constantly. He's always trying to get away to France constantly. But, you know, his friends and his nobility and all that, because Wallace is basically as good as a king, but he refuses the crown because to accept the crown would mean to stay in one place and rule. He's always looking for fresh pastures, just like a horse. You know, you can't keep the horse confined in a back garden, you know, they need the open field. You see a lot of this with Wallace's personality. Hermit crabs don't desire to become rich and famous. Instead, they desire true love and adventure. In other words, they are idealistic, overly idealistic. This is a highly contradictory sign whose thoughts often don't seem to make sense to themselves. Members of this sign have a hard time accepting things as they are, and though they talk a lot about how they are going to make things better, they often just move on instead. Now, again, this is a lot of what you're seeing with Wallace, continually rejecting power, not wanting to be governor, not wanting to be guardian, not wanting to be the warden of Scotland, yet promotions keep coming his way like a real-life Jon Snow. You know, people really want to continually promote him, but, you know, Wallace is like, just leave me alone so I can go, you know, live in France, you know. He doesn't want power, and he is very insecure. That's very obvious reading Wallace's biography. You know, have a hard time accepting things as they are. Something of an understatement with Wallace, considering that, you know, how he's remembered 700-800 years after he died. You know, he was the one Scot who would never give up, who would never sell out. You know, but he actually did back up what he was saying. A lot of it, though, was kind of forced upon him in a sense because his own temper put him in positions where he had to fight back, you know. But otherwise, you see a lot of him trying to also slink away, you know, and just retire off to France like at least twice, possibly 3 times in his life. This sign lacks true confidence and has a tendency to put on a false front, hoping that others won't realise how uncertain they are about themselves and the direction of their lives. Sometimes this mask takes a form of bravado and a who cares attitude. Hermit crabs like to pretend that they don't care about much, as if caring were a sign of weakness, but in reality long for love and acceptance. They want to feel like they belong, but deep down they are also independent spirits who want their lives to be adventurous and meaningful. Emotional swings are not uncommon. Well, in the case of Wallace, no fucking shit. How often does his temper get him into trouble? All the fucking time. Nor is seeking the help of a therapist. Members of this sign need to learn how to accept life as it is and not try to control everything if they want to find balance and happiness in their lives. This totally applies to William Wallace. 100%, 1000%. You know, when he's going back and forth about whether he wants to marry Marion, you know, he's so indecisive about that. Cleland's like, well, if you love the woman, just go and marry her. And Wallace is arguing constantly with him and in his own head, should I not? I love her, but I can't. I've got to finish the war first, and making up excuses, you know. Definitely prone to mood swings and putting on this front of bravado and everything like that. You know, he's the leader. He's the natural leader everyone's gravitating towards. Like I said, if you want to know, like, the closest example in fiction to a real life William Wallace, Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, is very much like the real life William Wallace. Another character would be Billion of Evelyn from Kingdom of Heaven, one of my favourite movies. Not a very accurate movie, but nowhere near as offensive as Braveheart. But, you know, the real life Wallace is somewhere in between Balin of Ibelin from Kingdom of Heaven and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. I'd say you're maybe about 60%, 65% there in terms of the real Wallace, maybe more. And then it goes into compatibility and all this. This is not quite so relevant, but it says here, despite their tendency to keep others at a comfortable distance, this sign is witty and caring and has an easy time making friends when they want to. Like I said, people just gravitate towards Wallace constantly. More intuitive signs might have trouble getting along with the hermit crab, as they can see through the crab's false front and will want to get to know them better if the crab lets them in. And Wallace always does kind of keep people at a bit of a distance, except maybe for Sir John the Graham, which is why he's so devastated when he dies at Falkirk. These can become some of their best friends, but more likely members of this sign will choose to protect their true selves rather than share them. Family and love is of huge importance to this sign. Absolutely, it really is, because Wallace feels so much guilt putting Sir Ranald Crawford in danger, putting his mother in danger, putting even his uncle Richard Wallace of Riccarton in danger through his actions of resisting against the English. One of the true, tragedies of Wallace's life is that he's continually endangering his family, and he actually gets his uncle Sir Ranald Crawford, he gets him killed, and Wallace feels extreme guilt over this. They will give up everything for true love, and once they fall for good. Absolutely, you see this with Wallace when he's in the pavilion talking to Queen Margaret of France when she comes to negotiate with him. He actually cries in front of the Queen about the death of Marion. He actually opens up to her and starts crying right in front of her. At the same time, when relationships don't work out, they can be very ugly. Hermit crabs are likely to take the breakup very hard, even if they initiated it. Ultimately, as long as this sign is willing to let its guard down, they will certainly find love and eventually a stable and happy family life. Well, as we know, that never happened with Wallace, because of the path that his life took, and he was promised in his visions from St. Andrew and the Queen of Heaven and all this, your life will be short. And even at his execution, he says, I have the comfort of knowing where I'm going. In other words, I know that through the bishop. We can just watch the video that I made about his martyrdom, his execution. It says, I know where I'm going. In other words, just leave me be and let me die when he finally does die. Careers and goals. It's hard to pin down an exact career fit. Yeah, exactly, because they're always on the move. This is not a sign like all horses, they're never going to settle for very long at anything. Each hermit crab is highly unique and will have to find what fits best for them. It's likely that these career choices will be somewhat unusual. Leading a rebellion against England, certainly unusual, which is necessary to fit into the wide variety of personality traits members of this sign have. Hermit crabs work best in environments where they can share their knowledge or talent with others, or where they can be constantly on the move. Well, think about Wallace's rebellion against the English. Talk about constantly on the move, all right. This sign does not belong in a cubicle or a stale office environment. Like I said, Wallace is always trying to resign. He's like a real life Balin of Ibelin or a real life Jon Snow. He's like, stop giving me power. I don't want power. People just gravitate so naturally to him. It should be you. It should be you. He's like, no, I don't want it. They should be out in the world performing work that satisfies them regardless of the pay. And again, Wallace is always described as giving up everything that he has. He's always giving away his possessions. He's giving away land and titles, and he doesn't ever want it. He's always giving it to others. That's why they choose a career as a sailor or a merchant marine. Others do well in import-export businesses. Anything where they can travel a lot, basically. And they also make good flight attendants. Hermit crabs also have a penchant for the arts and history, which makes jobs like museum curator or guide a great fit for them. And they find archaeology fascinating and would fit with any job in that field. Yeah, Wallace certainly knows his history. He makes a lot of historical allusions. He was very well educated in that regard. Even he went to Dundee for his education. So anyone out there who goes to the University of Dundee, well, you share something in common with William Wallace. Here we have all the list of famous hermit crabs. I've got one to add to the list. Sir William Wallace, Guardian of Scotland. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this brief analysis, and thank you for watching.
We come by this road to find Balian, who was defender of Jerusalem.
I am the blacksmith.
And I am the King of England.
I am the blacksmith.